Hardware, your store of first choice. And by Fram Air Filters. Fram, the end of the road for dirt. And by Channel Lock. For the tough jobs and the small jobs, reach for the Channel Lock, the handiest tool of them all. Look for the...
This NASCAR exclusive has been brought to you by the Charlotte Motor Speedway, home of the Coca-Cola 600 and the Winston.
Selection and personal attention make True Value Hardware your store of first choice. And by Fram Air Filters. Fram, the end of the road for dirt. And by Channel Lock. For the tough jobs and the small jobs, reach for the Channel Lock, the handiest tool of them all. Look for the...
This NASCAR exclusive has been brought to you by the Charlotte Motor Speedway, home of the Coca-Cola 600 and the Winston.
And welcome to the three-quarter mile Richmond International Raceway. Hello, I'm Ken Squire. Live coverage here on World Sports of the Richmond 200. Down below me, some 36 cars are now at the ready to go for 200 laps, 150 miles, a purse of $123,000 at stake in the second event of 1991 for NASCAR's Grand National competitors. My colleague for today's broadcast is Neil Bonnet. And Neil, we have a chilly, windy day here, and with the cold tires on these cars and the hot-blooded talent out there, I expect that the fur and fenders is really going to fly.
Ken, thank goodness these guys have super speedway cars and short track cars. After Daytona, we wouldn't have had a field here. But we've had so many cars, the guy that sat on the pole at Daytona didn't even make this race. Hopefully we can get the drivers cooled down, the tires warmed up, and have a good race without a lot of wrecks.
For more details on the story, let's go to the Fram Pit Center. Here's Mike Joy.
Well, Ken, tires will be indeed a story of this race. Goodyear is here with their radial racing tire, the first time they've used it on a short track in Grand National competition. They've tested it here, but not in these cold weather conditions. The teams are wondering if those tires will go the distance or if they'll need to stop and change. Compounded by the fact Bob Newton's fledgling Hoosier Tire Company from Indiana is here. 7 cars will start this race on Hoosier tires, led by Elton Sawyer way up in the 5th position and Butch Miller, who's done well here in Winston Cup competition. The Hoosier drivers think they can go the distance with just one stop for gas and no tire change. Be interesting to see, and we'll keep the tabs on those 7 drivers throughout the afternoon. Let's go back topside to my colleague Neil Bonnet.
Ken, you know, sometimes I don't mean to be rude, but sometimes I have trouble with your accent, so I've imported someone from L.A.
Okay. And
he's from L.A., Lower Alabama. We've got a guy that a lot of people here know from football. I know him from racing. He's a big race fan. He owns race cars. He sponsors them on the short tracks. We've got a guy named Ken Stabler from Lower Alabama. We're going to turn him loose.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Neil. Nice to be here with you. What a difference a week makes. Last week, a rookie sat on the pole for the Busch Grand National Week. This driver right here, Jeff Burton, qualified 33rd. This week, like I said, what a difference a week makes sitting on the pole. Now let's go to my colleague, a guy who is a 7-year Winston Cup veteran. Let's go to Phil Parsons.
I'm here with Jimmy Hensley. Jimmy, there's a lot of pressure on everybody here. Your car is owned by a local businessman. It's maintained here in Richmond, and you don't have a sponsor on a quarter pound. How do you deal with that, Jimmy?
Well, you know, I've been around a long time, Phil. It is fresh. You know, Don Strucking out of nearby Chester owns the car, and, you know, we don't have a sponsor, so the guys really want to do good for their hometown folks, just like me at Martinsville. You know, always like to run good there, and we certainly are running good right now. We're going to try to hang in there, maybe get a good finish today, maybe attract some attention, hopefully, you know, to get a sponsor. That's what we're looking for, and it's a good team. We're going to be doing the best we can.
Jimmy, if a sponsor doesn't materialize, could this be the last race for this effort?
Well, look like we're going to run 4 or 5 races to start with.
Good luck, Jimmy. We'll be right back in just a few minutes after these commercial messages with more action from Richmond. 2 rows full of Winston Cup drivers. One of these drivers, Harry Gant. Let's talk to Harry. Harry, you're
Tried to. We got a lot of good cars up there, but the Ed Whitaker's Cold Good's running real good, and if we get our tires working for us today, get some good mileage, we'll be in good shape.
All right, Harry, good luck. Let's go back up top to Neil Bonnet and Ken Squire.
Those Winston Cup drivers are finding it a little harder to qualify against these Grand National guys. Neil, Davey Allison is the best. He's up there in 7th spot, and that leads the Winston Cup group here.
Ken, it seems like every one of these Busch races we come to, the Winston Cup guys get bumped a little bit further back. The Busch guys are getting better and better. And speaking of getting bumped back, I guess this will be a perfect opportunity. Stabler likes to get right in the middle of the huddle. He's been intimidated by Joe Green. Let's stick him on that little black car and see if he can talk to Earnhardt.
Well, I've been around some guys that intimidate you like the Joe Greens, and you speak about intimidators. Here's one right here. We're with Dale Earnhardt. Dale, any kind of predictions on how long it'll take you to get to the front?
I don't know, Kenny. We're going to just run them pretty consistent here. We've got to run a long ways. We're going to try to conserve our tires, but still you got to be pretty competitive and get in there with them. So hopefully we can get to the front without too much trouble.
Pleased with the setup of the car and about the tire situation?
Well, the car's working awful good in practice, so we're pretty happy with it. We're going to see how the tire situation goes, and you know, maybe we can go all the way on these tires.
Have a good run. Back to you guys.
Last time out, he was a winner in Grand National ranks at the Goodies 300 at Daytona, Neil.
Ken, and you know, it seems like these guys, Dale hit on something. They're going to try to go a long way with these tires, and there's a lot of guys wanting to win a race here, and the tires might be a big factor.
150 miles the distance, one pit stop probably for fuel. They may try to go the entire round on one set of tires, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Taking some extra moments to warm the engines on a very chilly day here in Virginia. Great temperatures yesterday, dropped 20 degrees today. Let's see if we can get a word, Ken Stabler, with a man who sits on the pole, and that's not going to happen now. They buttoned up that front row, and they're moving everyone back away from the field as we get ready to go green here this afternoon. It's 200 laps the distance. Let's take a look at the starting grid for today's race, 36 strong. Here's how they'll line up. Jeff Burton is on the pole. His second pole position, Virginia driver, youngest of 3 brothers, number 99. Beside him comes Jimmy Hensley, well-known name in Grand National ranks out of Ridgeway, Virginia. In row number 2 today, Bobby Labonte out of Texas, his Oldsmobile back after that harsh wreck a week ago down at Daytona. And the defending Grand National champion, Chuck Bound, originally out of Oregon, starts on the outside of row 2. For row 3, Elton Sawyer is there from Chesapeake, Virginia with his Buick, and Tony Hirschma is scheduled in car number 1 to start on the outside of row 3 from Northampton, Pennsylvania. In row 4, it's Davey Allison out of Hueytown, Alabama, Chevrolet, the Haviland car, and alongside is Kenny Wallace of St. Louis, Missouri, his Pontiac that's pretty well known in these ranks. Row 5, Dale Earnhardt, and with him comes Mike Waltrip. For row 6 today, it'll be Harry Gant, and alongside of him, Darrell Waltrip. Row 7, that's going to be Bobby Dotter and Tommy Ellis, the 88 Grand National champion. For row number 8 today, there you have Ed Barrier, the Mid-Atlantic champ for a couple of years, and Butch Miller out of Coopersville, Michigan. Row number 9 is Todd Bodine and Morgan Shepherd from Conover, North Carolina. Row 10, Dale Jarrett, Hickory, North Carolina, and Rick Craven from up in New England, Concord, New Hampshire. Row 11 is Ed Ferry of Saxonburg, Pennsylvania, a car dealer up there. Joe Nemechek of Lakeland, Florida. In row number 12 is Jack Ingram on his lap of honor around the tracks of America, his final year, 5-time champion, and Davey Johnson. Row 13 is Ward Burton and Steve Grissom from Alabama. Row 14, Robert Presley and Dave Resendez from Massachusetts. For row 15, it's Dale Shaw out of Center Conway, New Hampshire, and Jeff Gordon from down in Indiana. In row 16, Troy Beebe from Modesto, California, and Cecil Eunice. In row 17, Janie Obey from North Ferrisburg, Vermont, and Tom Peck of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, or McConnellsburg, Pennsylvania. And rounding out the field, Barney McRae of Colchester, Vermont, and Tommy Houston of Hickory, North Carolina, starting dead last. Watch Houston. Remember what he did a year ago at South Boston, 28th to 1st in the Grand National race. You're riding with Bobby Labonte, Penrose car, starting in the 3rd position in our live coverage.
Ken, these guys are really sawing on the steering wheel. We've got a set of crazy circumstances happening yesterday. It was unseasonably warm. They got the cars set up. Now these tires, they got to get some heat in them before they drop this green flag. If they don't get a little friction squirming these cars around, get some heat in those tires, they're going to have their handfuls when they drop the flag.
9 Chevrolets, 10 Oldsmobiles, 9 Buicks, 6 Pontiacs, and 2 Fords comprise the field that will be taking green in our live coverage on World Sports of the second Grand National race of the year. Race number 1, Daytona, a week ago on the high banks. Earnhardt flew to victory in car number 3. 3 to green, taking some additional laps to warm them up and try to get some heat in those tires before they turn them loose.
Ken, it's kind of twofold. These little V6 motors that are in these cars, they turn a lot of RPM to get the kind of power they used to run with on these tracks with the V8s. They twist these little V6 motors a lot, and you got to have that oil temperature up. If you don't, it'll knock the bearings out in the first few laps. So they're doing 2 things. They're trying to get the heat in the tires. They're trying to get the motors at operating temperature, and that's hard to do with the kind of weather we have out there right now.
Ken and Neil, this field has a very different complexion than the one we saw last week at Daytona. There are 4 drivers in this race who didn't even qualify for the Goodies 300, another 4 who never completed the first lap there, and 5 more who weren't around at the quarter waypoint. That's a third of this field that didn't do much racing at Daytona. In addition, the pole sitter at Daytona, David Green, didn't even make this race, and the pole sitter here, Jeff Burton, started 33rd on the superspeedway at Daytona. The whole field here is covered by less than 1/2 a second in the single round of qualifying time trials. So it's a good, tight, fast field, but very different from what we saw a week ago.
And Mike, one car that has not rolled is Tony Hirschman, who was scheduled to start 6th today. This morning, he heavily damaged his Oldsmobile in a practice crash. He was hoping to get it back out to get to do additional work and start last. That is not to come to pass. That car not rolling out. 35 cars now on the field.
The little crash this morning was an indication of a big track difference. You know, this guy had a car that qualified 6th right up in front of the pack, but the track changed so much today with a big temperature drop that these other guys are wondering what to do also.
Neil, let's take a look at the weather here at Richmond as we get set for start. That tells you all you need to know. Chilly out there. Need your mittens today. Temperature down in the low 40s at the present time. That's warmed up a bit, and that breezy little 16-mile-per-hour wind, that's what raises havoc.
Yeah, that wind chill, I kind of felt that on the opening out front. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm in Alabama. It was pretty cool to me.
Field getting set for a start. Organizing around Jeff Burton out of South Boston, Virginia, whose dad has brought 3 boys along in the racing game. And Jeff on the pole, second one of his career, took the first a year ago in South Boston. Ready for, rather at Richmond, I believe he took that pole. Won his first race in Martinsville, Virginia, in the 150 at the end of last year.
Man, good. I tell you what, looking inside this car right here, these drivers want that green flag to go, because in that car, you're riding around out there 50 or 60 miles an hour with the windows rolled down. These things don't have windows, and as soon as they start turning those little motors 8,000 RPM, the heater cranks up, so they're ready to go racing.
Bobby Labonte in the Penrose car in that 3rd position, giving you these pictures as we get set for a live start this afternoon here at Richmond on World Sports. Pace car field in tow. The pit procedure that has been so much the talk will be so much the talk today, and if we have the occasion for a caution, pretty much expected, we anticipate we'll be getting back to that subject considerably before the afternoon is over. And Neil, both pace cars are coming back on the track. Incidentally, as opposed to Daytona a week ago, the Almo Langley pace car, which is bringing the field around now, will be parked down in turn 1 as per usual, and the second pace car, which was parked at turn 2 on the big superspeedway, now will be parked in turn 3 here at Richmond.
Yeah, right now the pit thing is a big scramble. Everybody's trying to figure it out, and they're rolling with the punches. They're changing it from race to race, and I think this is a look-and-see attitude today. We'll see how this thing works in NASCAR reevaluate. It's hard for me to figure out sitting here in the booth. I know the guys in the pits got their hands full.
Let's talk about this track. I think we're 1 lap away right now from probably getting this thing underway. It's a D-shaped oval, 14 degrees in the turns, 8-degree banking in the front stretch. Getting set for a start, and it's 60 feet wide all the way around, and that's the telling story here. There's room to run, but turn number 2 will pinch you. You can really get in trouble in turn 2. We're 1 lap away, Neil.
This track right here, Ken, when they built the track larger, they used part of the old existing facility. The front straightaway coming off 4 turn is real easy off a 4 down the front straightaway. Turn 2 is almost an afterthought. But when they're real wide corner getting in, real tight off a 2, that's usually where the action happens in 1 and 2 down there.
Light is off on the pace car, getting set for a start. Stay with us this afternoon. This is live. It's Richmond, Virginia. A cold day, temperature just barely breaking the 40 mark as we get set to turn these guys loose.
Ken, these guys have got to be thinking about Daytona. As Mike Joy mentioned, we had a lot of guys go out of the race right on the first or second lap. These guys want to do a little bit of racing. They got a lot in the season to look forward to. They've got to be careful, but yet they still want to win races, so they got to, it's kind of a calculated guess how hard to run this early.
And the pit meeting this morning, they dedicated some time to the fact you're not going to win in lap 1, lap 5, 10, 15, or 20. So let's see if they're going to stand on it right from the beginning or play a little more cautious hand. Green is out. And Jeff Burton squeezes down into that first turn. Being ridden tightly by Jimmy Hensley on the outside in the blue car. Out of Virginia making his move for the lead and has it going into 3. As Chuck Bound breaks on the outside, he goes into the 3rd position at turn 3. Completing lap 1, Bound, who had his car wiped out a week ago at Daytona, defending Grand National champion, settles onto the inside and 1 lap down in the books. Further than we went a week ago on a Saturday in Daytona Beach, Florida. Back straightaway, Kenny Wallace is in the 4th position. Coming out of turn number 4 to complete the 2nd of 200 laps. Michael Waltrip runs in 5th. Darrell Waltrip in 6th.
Hensley made a good move early in the race. Maybe that, talking to the guys, take it easy early. He caught the 99 car a little slow on inside and got the lead from the outside, which is hard to do.
Alton Sawyer backed up 2 positions to 7th. His wife and fellow racer Patty Moise did not qualify for this event.
Saying that you didn't qualify for this race is not embarrassment. The field was so close. There's a lot of real good cars that went back home.
And we would point out those 4 cars that started on the rear were all provisional starters from the NASCAR North Series. Folks like Barney McRae, Jamie Obey, Tom Peck. Tommy Houston, of course, is a Southern runner. He's had himself a bad run, and he's trying to make up for it right now. Tommy Houston from the rear is waiting his time. He's picked up only 2 spots. And there you see Davey Allison in the car number 28 and the number 3 right behind him, Earnhardt, as that's the battle for 8th position.
It seems as though we saw some of this at the end of Daytona last week. These 2 guys are right back at it again.
You think there's a chance we might see a payback at some time before this afternoon over? Davey Allison was quite outspoken earlier in the week. Seems to have mellowed as we came here to Richmond, but in the papers down around Alabama, he was saying that he and Earnhardt had another round to go.
Sometimes you mellow to the media, but you usually don't mellow in your mind. Here's a wreck on the back straightaway right now.
Spin out of turn number 2. 2 cars at the bottom of the racetrack. First caution is out. It comes at lap 5. And there you see them getting righted, trying to bring them around. The 31 car getting picked up. That's Steve Grissom out of Gadsden, Alabama. And the 49 car is Ed Ferree of Saxonburg, Pennsylvania, the Learjet pilot.
Troy Beebe in the 9 car is also involved in that.
3-car incident, right where Neil Bonnet was talking about, out of turn number 2. Achilles heel for more than one driver. You were saying earlier, the thing to do, just set a camera and isolate it right on turn 2 and wait.
Well, you know, if there's a place that's going to happen, it's probably going to be there.
Okay, field is right and getting set here.
Here we come.
Everybody straightened around.
Here's the car spinning. We picked them up. The 2 other cars down there. The 3rd car that came through was lucky to get through the mess there. They're giving 1 to go. Luckily, right there, that car could have got stuck in that grass back there, but they got it moving. Grissom had an exceptional year last year.
As they restart, Hensley will be first, Jeff Burton in 2nd. Kenny Wallace now 3rd. Michael Waltrip in 4th. Darrell Waltrip. Falling back is Chuck Bound here. He's in the 6th position. 7th is Alton Sawyer. 8th, Davey Allison. 9th, Dale Earnhardt. 10th, the end. And 11th, Tommy Ellison.
We've got Jack Ingram sitting on pit road right now with a hood up, which he certainly doesn't need a problem this early in the race, but must be something pretty severe to have the hood up this early.
See if the pace car will duck in here and get us back underway after a very short car. Coming around to complete 8 laps. Pace car is in, and about to go a lap down is number 11, the 5-time national champion Jack Ingram, parked on pit road as the field breaks. Hustles down, and there you see Davey Allison, the 28, stacking it on the outside and trying to move around early. Davey, and here comes Earnhardt up on the inside of him in number 3. Earnhardt has Allison. Remember, they're both in Chevrolets here in Grand National ranks. And it is number 3, Earnhardt. Earnhardt for 7th spot. Closes up on Elton Sawyer.
Again, when you get to these short tracks like that, Davey was going to make a move to go around the car in front of him. If you make it, it's fine, but if you don't, you drop back. Earnhardt got under him, and there's no place to go, but you drop back in the slot behind him.
There you see Kenny Wallace's car, number 36, looking strong out here. Michael Waltrip in the yellow car taking just a bit higher line and staying right in front of his brother Darrell.
Michael has seemed to have really had the handle on this racetrack since it's been converted over with these Busch cars. He really ran good here every race.
And he won here last year. Remember, we were delayed a few weeks and came back. Michael pulled that one out of the fire.
There's Kenny Wallace running right up there in the front also.
3rd spot in the black car is Kenny Wallace. Directly in front of him, Jeff Burton, a young man that sat on the pole. And Hensley continues to lead as he did right here a year ago.
Hensley has run these short tracks and these intermediate-sized tracks for years. An excellent racer. He sat on the pole in Earnhardt's car in the Winston Cup car one time, and the guy can really drive a race car. He's got this thing dialed in right now.
Jimmy Hensley, veteran of many years, had a few runs in Winston Cup, made a showing in the Busch Clash. Here he is staying right in front of Jeff Burton by 3 car lengths in the back straightaway as they complete lap number 12. Great family man, loves to watch his daughters in their softball quests. Has a daughter, Karen, is 16, Amy, 12, Melanie, 9. Great racing family, great sports family.
Again, these guys are right, even this early in this race, are going to have to consider the fact, here we go, real deep back here in the corner, cars all over the racetrack.
That's Tommy Houston in the number 6 car, and he is running in 2030. Started 35th. Remember, he started dead last a year ago. Recount the story in Grand National Racing. He came all the way from the rear at the start. Took himself a checkered flag. Houston in the number 6 closes in. Makes a run on Butch Miller. Now, Miller's number 52 on the outside. The white and red car looks a little beaten up. If you'll note around the hood, that's because the hood blew up over the windshield. It actually put a crease up in the roof of that car. 96 trying to move in there as well as Tom Peck out of Pennsylvania. Was the highest finishing Busch Grand National regular down at Daytona a week ago. That number 96 had to take a provisional start today. Back to 34.
Well, I tell you, I've had that happen before, the hood blow up like that, and there's no way to tell him what kind of damage it can do that race car. It almost rips the roof off the car.
I thought that he was in more serious. I couldn't believe it was just a hood. Look at this. Jimmy Hensley out in front. 16 laps complete and building his advantage. Here comes number 3, Earnhardt on the inside of Waltrip for 5th. Darrell falls back another spot. And Earnhardt itching from a loss in the Daytona 500. Last victory was in Grand National Racing just a week ago. Earnhardt closes up another one, and he moves up on the 4th position, number 30, Michael Waltrip.
Again, this deal running hard like this early, was mentioned a little bit earlier, these guys are going to have to think about carrying those tires 200 laps. And how hard can you run them early and have something left at the end? Sometimes you run them in the ground early, there's nothing left over. It's going to be questionable how strong the tires will be on these cars at the end of 200 laps.
Neil, there you see the interval. Yellow car is Michael Waltrip running 4th, and the black number 3, Earnhardt, closing in.
Not only is he running forward, Ken, he's starting to try something that a lot of guys haven't yet, the outside line. If you can ever get that car to work on the outside, you've got an ace on your side. Michael won the races here by being able to do that, either inside or out. He's already playing around with that outside lane.
Last lap, Neil, 117, 9/10 miles per hour on Hensley, the leader. Let's go down to the Jimmy Hensley pits. Here's Ken Stabler.
Yeah, Ken, I'm here with the crew chief for Jimmy Hensley's number 11 car, Bobby King. Bobby, is this the pace that you wanted, given the tire wear situation?
Well, we're going to set the pace right now. We're out front. We're just going to take our easy pace and stay out front for as long as we can. We'll see what happens later on.
Everybody down here concerned about tire wear, the Jimmy Hensley crew.
Now, look at this ruckus taking place. Here's Michael Waltrip moving to the inside. His tires are wearing pretty well as he squeezes down to the bottom of Kenny Wallace. And they touch out there in turn 2. Earnhardt moving in.
And a little bit of push to get him on down the straightaway.
Battle for third.
Sometimes two motors go quicker than one, so that's kind of like hooking another motor on the boat. They're going to try both of them to get a little shove down the straightaway and get by Wallace. Well, let's just try 3 deep here. I'm not sure this will work.
Ooh, 3 wide. Wallace pinned on the outside. And it's Earnhardt on the bottom. Earnhardt scoots right down through. Thank you very much. I'll take third.
Sometimes the tie goes to the runner. In this deal, the tie goes to the guy on the inside. He's certainly got more real estate to work with.
Bobby Labonte falling back, started third, and he's rolling back to the field of 12th. There's the number 32. That is the Dale Jarrett car, and he's made a tremendous run in this race. He's picked up 10 positions in the car number 32.
Dale has a crew that keeps his Busch cars up separately, and his cars are always a threat. He's won a lot of races at Darlington and Rockingham, and it seems as though he has working on this little flat track.
He started in 19th position, and he looks like he's coming. He is officially 11th at the present time, as Bobby Labonte gives us these pictures in lap number 25.
Back to the Richmond 200. We've got 30 laps down right now. The top 5 runners so far, we've got Hensley, Burton, Earnhardt, Michael Waltrip, and Kenny Wallace. We've had one incident over in turn 2 early in the race. Things going well.
Thanks, Kenny. One change now. We see Harry Gant just moving around Wallace and picking up a spot. But the man everybody is watching is this man, Jimmy Hensley, staying up there in that front-running position. We have completed 30, getting our laps here checked. 31, 32.
Yeah, it just went off the board as we started to bring that up.
Second spot right there is number 99, the Jeff Burton. 31 laps are complete. Jeff Burton running in second. See him putting a lap here on Steve Grissom, the Alabama driver. 99, Burton is set on the pole. You saw that interval to second, and there's third place. That's number 3, Earnhardt, and you get a sense of the interval back to him in our live coverage. Earnhardt, who started 9th and has rolled up into third spot. Putting a lap here on Cecil Eunice out of Georgia.
Grissom's having some trouble. He was one of the cars that spun early. He had an exceptional year last year, won some races, and started out right here with a little bit of trouble.
Here you see the number 4 car, or rather the number 30 car that is running in fourth, Michael Waltrip.
Michael has just run so good at this track ever since it's been changed. He's certainly going to be a factor for it. He usually leads the race, and he told me earlier he didn't have the car just like he wanted it, but certainly not off very much.
And back in 5th is the number 7 of Gant. Now, look at this. Still in trouble and backing up is the Wallace car on the outside. Kenny Wallace is having a handful here, and Davey Allison has just scratched out 6th position. Kenny Wallace falling to 7th. So we have Gant in 5th. Now in 6th is Davey Allison in that number 28, and falling back is Wallace. Following Wallace comes Tommy Ellison, 8th. Dale Jarrett up to 9th now, and he's had a tremendous run. And the 10th spot belongs to Dale Jarrett.
Here's Davey trying to build a lap traffic, and here's Hensley also. That's going to be hard for these guys. This track, the inside is real protective, and it takes a little bit of time. Anytime they hold you up just a little bit, they start closing the gap. But Hensley seems to be able to pull away a little bit right now.
Davey Johnson out of Imperial, Pennsylvania, being lapped. And I guess they really took heed to the instructions at the drivers' meeting this morning. They're being very careful after a wreck-strewn beginning a week ago with one caution for 3 spinners up in turn number 2. We're now 37 laps deep into this 200-lap affair, and we're not seeing but that single caution on the board. Resendez, who had that great second-place finish at Nazareth, Pennsylvania a year ago, the Massachusetts driver, number 79, being lapped by the leader, Hensley.
Hensley just strolling right on around him here.
Hensley stays up in front. Himself a pretty good advantage over Jeff Burton. He is smooth, he is easy, and he should be. He has better than 20 years in grade. Earnhardt stays third. Change of positions here. Car number 7, Harry Gant, has moved around. He's taken 4th. Michael Waltrip, who was on the fly, he steps back 1 into 5th position on car number 30. And Davey Allison stays 6th. Harry Gant, contender to pull this one out.
And I'll tell you what, Harry, it's not a situation where the 30 car lost anything. Gant has been coming through the field. He went around Michael and is pulling away and really closing on Earnhardt right up there in front of him. You see going down in the corner. So Gant is really on the move. The other guys aren't falling off very much.
88 winner, Harry Gant, coming up through traffic.
How many times do we see that we watch these Busch races? Gant almost be out of the picture, and he just suddenly just starts creeping his way right to the front.
Here's Phil Parsons.
I'm here with the Iron Man, Jack Ingram, driver this familiar number 11. Jack, it's your last time at Richmond as a driver. What happened?
Well, apparently we had a time a little higher or too lean something. Started smoking out the pipe, burning pits, and we go in the pits, set the timing back, but apparently we'd already done the damage and it just started getting worse, so we just stopped before we done any more damage to the motor.
Jack, I want to tell you, just for me personally, you've taught me an awful lot about racing. For all of us, we thank you for all the years.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it.
Phil, and you're right there with that. Jack Ingram has been around these tracks so many years and won the championship repeatedly and always a factor to win any races in.
Can't name many tracks where Jack Ingram hasn't picked up a checker.
The problem Jack had is something that a lot of people have to be concerned with, that when the temperature changes the way this thing did, the jetting in the engine is a big change. Most of these guys can guess what jets to put in and what time to put, but if you're not lucky, you're going to burn these motors up.
Well, meanwhile, Jimmy Hensley sets the pace, and it's a good one as he laps Jamie Ovey, the Vermont driver, in the number 41. Hensley has about a 10 to 12 car length advantage over the second place runner, Jeff Burton, and it's an equal distance from Burton back to Earnhardt. Gant seems to be the quickest car on the track, as we're now seeing car number 09 head on to pit road. That's Dale Shaw out of New Hampshire. He is getting some additional work on his car. Number 75, Ward Burton. Jeff Burton's brother is also in there. Here's the man that's leading it all. Hensley staying in the front running position and building a little bit of a lead. He's picking up 1/10 of a second here or there.
There's some people like in golf, and once they get the lead, it's hard to take it away from them. Hensley's raced so long that he's not going to give up that lead, and he's not going to give up any position on the track. He'd be a hard man to run down.
Caution-free compared to a year ago or any of the past 3 years. This one looks to be one where they've really thought it out pretty carefully.
Yeah, I'm talking about running somebody down. There's the black car, Earnhardt, right in the middle of the corner, and just barely off frame. You'll be see coming in the right. Gant is really running Earnhardt down in a hurry after getting around Michael Walker.
Battle down here into turn 3. Davey Allison on the inside of Michael Waltrip. The black number 28. Allison scoots down to the bottom, and it's Davey Allison setting Michael Waltrip back to 6th. Davey comes up to 5th as they go into turn number 1. Davey Allison trying to get over that problem of a week ago in the Great American Race.
Well, I'll tell you, Daytona, there's so much that rides on it. It's not unusual to be hard feelings after a race like that, but I know it's hard to get over.
48 laps are thus far complete in the Richmond 200, live here on World Sports. Stand by.
We're off to a great start. Dale Earnhardt really making a run toward the front. Really doesn't mean he will wind up there. Talk to some of the crew chiefs of some of these teams. They're really backing out some to save tires. Really concerned with that. Back to Ken Squire and Coach Neil Bonnet.
Okay, we're under caution because the Todd Bodine spun in turn number 2. I don't think he picked up too much damage here.
It looked like he lost the car right in the middle of the corner up off the tight point we were talking about. Luckily enough, he backed it up right up to the wall without a lot of damage to the car.
Rabbit's foot was working on that one.
Right where that car's sitting, if you see the black line about 5 foot down in front of him,
yeah,
that's no man's land. Above those black strips, he got out of line a little bit. When you get up there, it's like getting in grease.
Second caution of the day. Front of the field looks like this. Hensley stays in front. pace car, I think, is about ready to turn them loose with Jeff Burton second, Dale Earnhardt third, Harry Gant to fourth, Davey Allison in fifth, Michael Waltrip in sixth, and how about this? Tommy Ellis is now finding himself in seventh position. Ellis beginning to put it all back together again today, started 14th and is up to seventh. Former Grand National champion, big favorite in Virginia, big favorite in Grand National racing, Tommy Ellis.
Big favorite to win races when he gets in them. If he gets that thing close, he'll be tough before the day's over.
Not a big favorite with a lot of other drivers.
Well,
he's
Tommy's
like Earnhart. He'll work you over good.
Yeah, but I mean, the name of the game's racing. He you know, if he thinks he's got a chance to get to the front, he kind of blows the horn on that thing a little bit. And, you pay attention when he gets around you. He's a racer.
That horn sounds a lot like a front fender.
Well, that's why they put bumpers on them. The little batteries don't work on the horn, so you just, when you blow the horn, you just tap that metal a little bit and let them know you're there.
We have 54 laps complete, coming up to complete 55 this time by. Lap cars are on the inside, cars in the lead lap on the outside as we get ready for the, I want to correct that. The fast cars are on the bottom of the racetrack and the lap cars are on the outside here at Richmond.
They do that because what we were talking about, the groove is right on the inside, give the fast cars the opportunity to use the fast part of the racetrack.
Chuck Bound has backed way up from his starting position. He started in fourth. He's now out of the top 20. Field away, running once again.
Here's Earnhardt sticking a nose down under the car here and making the pass. Going to try to nibble away at Hensley a little bit here.
Gets Jeff Burton, so Earnhardt's up to second.
I think Earnhardt and Gant were sitting there kind of pacing herself. Gant put a little bit of heat on Earnhardt, and he started closing the gap anyway. They might be running these cars a little bit harder than they want to this early in the race. You've got a certain amount of rubber you use. Whatever you use off now, you can't get back later. It's like taking money out of the bank. It goes away, you don't put it back.
10 cars took that opportunity in the second caution period, Neil, to come on pit road and top those tanks. They can go home in this race. One of those was Bound. That's why he is so far back as we resume competition.
You know, that might be a good move early. If you're talking about using the same tires all day, get that fuel in there, and then you got a lot longer to get yourself back to the front. A lot of people want to run up front, stay out of trouble. It's a gamble any way you do it.
Hensley is first. Earnhardt is closing in second. For more on that story, here's Bill Parsons.
I'm down here with Tony Urey, Dale Earnhardt's crew chief. Tony, there's a lot of talk about the tire wear. Is Dale running too fast to suit you right now?
We're just going to let it go here for a while and see what happens. I think we're going to take on right side, but I believe that's the way to go. We're going to wait and see about 100 laps or so.
Dale's got to be a hard driver to tell to slow down, isn't he? Dale's got to be a hard driver to tell to slow down, though, isn't he?
Yeah, we let him run his own race. The tires fell off about a half second, but I believe they'll be all right after 100 laps or so. We're going to put 2 rights.
Thank you, Tony.
And Earnhardt falls off a position as Jeff Burton works his way back into second. Earnhardt falls to third. Davey Allison on the inside of number 7, right down to the bottom line. That's Allison under under Harry Gant and getting himself 4th position. Harry Gant 5th, Michael Waltrip then 6th. Here's the battle. 3rd spot. Earnhardt is there. Davey Allison moves in. This could get interesting.
Yeah, this right here is part of the Daytona feud. What little bit of feud came out of Daytona. These two guys, you know, tangled up, racing hard for the win. And but I think that's behind them. Right here, these guys are worried about winning this 200 lapper, and then they got another race down the road. So we just have to see how they handle the situation.
So while we have this little nip and tuck, and mostly nip here between Earnhardt and Allison, Hensley continues to scoot away up in front. Burton trying to catch him. Dale Earnhardt, is this car capable of winning this race?
I ran second here in the spring and I think we run 4th in the summer or the fall race here, so it's a good car. So, you know, I've won a race with Rockingham, so I think we'll be okay with it.
Let's see what he'll do with it. He's got a couple to run down right now, and he has to worry about Davey Allison. And meanwhile, up in front, Hensley is there. But Jeff Burton has found added life, and he's close to within 2 car lengths of the leader. This at lap 64.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. He got right on back around. Dale got under him a little bit on the restart, and he drove right back around him, so he's got a lot of cars sitting there.
There you see Hensley in the 25. Burton right behind him, followed by Earnhardt, Allison, Gant. Michael Waltrip crash in turn 4. Got one in the wall. It's Ed Barrier, who's tagged the wall in turn number 4, and will bring out the 3rd caution, and he whomped it pretty good. You can see the tire mark, those black marks, where he put the right side of the car right into the concrete.
And the right side of the car is square now because the concrete always wins.
So the third caution is out. Let's see if anybody's going to take this opportunity to hit pit road. We'll hit a couple of commercial messages and be back live at Richmond. Look at this battle for the lead, and the reason it's a battle for the lead, Burton and Hensley both pitted in this third caution period. A very quick caution and back underway. It has given the lead. Allison is second. Gant is running in third. Now Michael Waltrip is in third. Now Gant's back to third. They're side by side. The 7 car, the green car on the inside, and the 30. And meanwhile, up in front, look at this stuff. The 3 and the 28 wheel to wheel.
That's a tough part of the racetrack right there, run 2 abreast off that tight part of the corner, but they pulled it off.
Earnhardt first, Allison in second, Michael Waltrip in third, Harry Gant is in fourth, and Dale Jarrett finds himself fifth. All running together. Among those cars that came onto pit road and took on fuel, Burton, Hensley, Ellis, Davey Johnson, Craven, Resendez, Presley.
This is a perfect example. We were talking earlier, when these guys do this, when they do that, you think they don't have a lot of faith in each other's driving. They're running side by side around this racetrack. As slick as it is on the outside, they're giving each other plenty of room.
Neil, do you think Davey Allison and Dale Earnhardt have short memories? Do you think they remember last Sunday at Daytona Beach? What happened about 3 laps to go?
Bill, you know, like I do, sometimes you don't forget things like that. It's just early in the race. I don't know if it's payback time yet. We'll just have to see what happens.
Got a car spinning in turn number 2. Looks like number 99, Burton, has taken the wall hard. The kid that was running so well started on the pole, and look at the damage on this one. Well, after he had a pretty good start, caution flags beginning to fall. Yellow fever breaking out. There's your 4th caution of the day. It comes at lap number 73 and involves the pole sitter, Burton, now dragging car number 99 onto pit road.
And that was a brand spanking new race car that they just built after Daytona. They got it, Mike Laughlin got it built here. And that's the consequences. Do you pit early? Do you get on in there where you can work your back in front? You got back in traffic. Here, we'll see if we can pick the shot right here. Well, he's already broken loose. Looked like he was on the outside of someone getting down in one. And it's a tricky place. And right there, the car takes off. The car looked like it was barely rolling, but you see it knock that frontal area around. That's really supported with a lot of roll bars. It takes a pretty good lick to do that damage. The speed doesn't look like it's there, but the car just takes a good shot in the wall, and he's out of it right now.
Jeff Burton trying to win his 2nd Grand National race. Had a great start. Phil Parsons is down there.
Yeah, we're down there. The crew is looking at the damage on Jeff Burton's car right now. It's pretty substantial damage to the left front. It probably busted the oil cooler. Let me see if I can get a word in with Jeff. Jeff, set on the pole here, looking for a good day. What happened?
The car was real loose on the first few laps after a caution, and the car just got away from me. Can't make any excuses or anything. I just lost it.
Well, Jeff Burton, he won a race last year. He'll win a lot more in his career.
Phil, you know, like I do, that when you come out of the pits like that, a lot of time around that apron, you pick up that little bit of trash and rubber and stuff that's slung down off the racetrack, and he might have got into some of that, a little buildup on the tires, and it takes a lap or 2 to get it cleaned off, and evidently got the problem with it.
Jeff Burton, who had done such an outstanding job at Orange County Speedway down in Rosemont, North Carolina. Was great back in 88, 87, having trouble here at Richmond today. Jack Ingram down there with Mike Joy in the Fram Pit Communication Center as we get ready to go green.
And he's won a lot of these races, Ken. What do you think? Did Jimmy Hensley make the right move by stopping and gassing up to go the distance, or do you think Earnhardt and Davey Allison, well out in front of potential trouble, are in the right spot right now?
Well, Jimmy probably done the right thing under some certain circumstances, but it's a possibility that there'll only be 2 or 3 cars or 4 or 5 left in the same lap whenever Earnhardt decides to pit for gas or the leaders, and Jimmy wouldn't have that much of an advantage, but that may not happen.
Let's go back to green.
To the line. As the flag flies, Earnhardt first, Davey Allison second, Michael Waltrip third, Gant fourth, Jarrett fifth. Kenny Wallace in 6th, 7th is Bobby Labonte, 8th is Darrell Waltrip, 9th Morgan Shepherd, Nemechek is in 10th, Tommy Houston up to 11th from dead last on the start. Running 12th is Chuck Bound, and 13th is Tom Peck. Elton Sawyer runs 14th.
Well,
know, Davy's car seems to be real strong on the restart. That's usually an indication. But Earnhardt's car might be a little bit tight, shoving out of the outside. Davy's car is loose enough they can stick that nose under him every now and then. We just saw a little of that.
NASCAR's doing a great job of getting this race going again. The longest we've been under caution has been 3 laps for these spins and incidents thus far. We've had 4 caution periods.
That's been one of their contentions with the pit stuff. We're working on new rules, trying to see what they do, but they're trying to put the race bands to show on the racetrack. So the more we stay on pit road, the better show's going to be.
Here we are in the back straightaway with Earnhardt leading. Davey Allison in second, 3 and 28, first and second respectively. And closing up again, Michael Waltrip, last year's winner. And with them comes Harry Gant, the guy that won here in '88 over Larry Pearson.
Yeah, Gant's up the side right now. He's up beside Mike Waltrip on the inside. But you still got your work ahead of you to get up off that corner without spinning those wheels right there.
Watch the 7 right there in the yellow car on the outside running. Oh, they got a lap car on the inside, and they pin Gant. He has to step off the throttle just a bit.
They came in handy, didn't they? Excuse me there. Let me park you on this one going around.
How about this battle for the lead? Davey Allison on the inside, Earnhardt on the outside. It's live on World Sports from Richmond International Raceway. Earnhardt and Allison at it again.
Well, I tell you, Dale's car makes a good move on that outside. That's a tough part of the track. Davey's probably spinning the wheels a little bit right there on the inside. But if he ever gets clear, it looks like he'd be able to pull away a little bit. He seems awful strong.
Here's Allison going back for the lead. Michael Waltrip on the catbird seat watching all of this just behind. Now you see the 30. Waltrip move in. Coming around to complete 80 this time, Neil.
2 up side by side. They're going to lose a little bit of speed. Next thing you know, you'll have that guy 3 deep on the inside coming by you.
Now look at the 5th place car. That's the number 32. Just behind the 7 is Dale Jarrett, and he's made a magnificent run thus far in this race. Here comes Gant on the outside. The 7 around the 30. High side.
High side to hard side, but it worked. These cars in a pack like this, coming from Daytona, the draft was instrumental. Right here, it doesn't mean a thing. You got to handle. Even though they're lined up, it's not helping one bit. They've got to carry themselves down the track. The handling's what makes them work at this place.
Now the car back in 5th, working behind the yellow car, is Dale Jarrett, and he has come from 19th up to 5th, and he's ready to do some challenging among those top runners.
Here comes Davey again. He's going to try it one more time.
There's Dale Jarrett. Here's that battle for the lead.
This is the opposite of what we had at Daytona. Earnhardt inside, Davey outside. They're going to see if they can make it work this way. And guess what? Here comes Harry.
Earnhardt keeping those RPMs up on these V6s, Grand National cars, 105-inch wheelbase as opposed to 110 on a Winston Cup car, weighing in at 3,200 pounds rather than 3,500 pounds.
These things live off of RPM. It's hard to tell anyone, but this little V6 will out-accelerate a V8 on this racetrack. And when you get one bogged down the inside, it hurts you. So maybe that outside lane is going to be the hot setup when they get them rolling.
Just was for Earnhardt as he pulls around Barney McRae and pulls out in front of Davey Allison in second, Gant in third, and maintaining fourth, Michael Waltrip. Dale Jarrett right there in 5th. 84 complete.
That's a nice little shot right there. I used to like that too a lot. I haven't had that kind of lately. And I kind of like windshields myself. This is the only time I get to do it when I ride along with you.
Your days looking out a windshield and the rental racer going back and forth to the hotel, buddy.
Yeah, when I get my driving suit, I always drive head for the truck. It makes them a little nervous.
Yeah, in my car, which is a real concern. I'll tell you what, though, I think everyone was sorry to hear in the past couple of weeks that you're not going to be able to strap a helmet back on. That's hard news, I know, for you and for a lot of race fans. That's hard news.
Yeah, you know, I wanted to make that decision myself, but it was a medical decision, and I have to abide by it. And I certainly miss it, but I tell you what, I've been very fortunate. If I had to do it again, I wouldn't change a thing.
Here comes Gant down to the inside in car number 7. Neil Bonnet with us. Mike Joy at the Fram Pit Communications Center.
And look who come huffing and puffing up the steps here. Stabler's back in shape. He's ready to play football. He made it up top.
It's good to be up here with you guys.
You got sick of being out there in the cold. You Alabama guys just can't stand the cold.
Come up here and get some more coaching from Coach Bonnet.
I think you need Coach Madden. Now, Bonnet can't help you.
He had Coach Madden. He's looking for Coach Bonnet now. He's picked up a...
No, he had us.
Back straightaway, there you see the top three. Here comes Davey Allison down on the inside. Sticks that Chevy's nose in there as they come around a complete lap 88 this time. On the inside, it's Allison. On the outside, Earnhardt. Gant looks him over on the high side, and just behind them, Michael Waltrip looks strong, as does Dale Jarrett in fifth.
I tell you what's supposed to happen here, but I'm not going to call it because it never will. Usually two cars like this run this hard to get those tires heated up a little too much. Gant should be have the ace in the hole. When these two guys get some stuff hot, he should be able to drive around them here in a few laps. Let them make a dummy out of me. Go ahead, pass them, Harry, so I look like I know what I'm talking about.
Just what he's doing, taking second spot on the high side, which is where Gant likes to work if he possibly can.
Yep. Right now, if the three car with Earnhardt tires are hot, Gant would have to make the move quick to get on around. If he can do it, he's going to do it in the next lap or two, or he'll get those tires cooled down. Come on, Harry, make that. Kind of knew what I was talking about there, but Harry might make me look good. That's abusing the tires. When Earnhardt and Davey were running together, Harry said, let me try that outside lane and the inside lane. Oh, here comes the horn.
Top three together, just rubbing fenders on this three-quarter-mile track. Average speed last lap, 118 miles an hour. Earnhardt back on the inside. Runs Gant hard. They touch once, touch twice. At the line, almost dead even. Give it to Earnhardt as they go back into wide, and here comes Harry leaning on him.
And that's 8 tires. They work better than 4. When you put all that metal together, put 8 tires on it, they work better than 4 any time. Okay, here goes the two guys abusing it. Driving by, Davey.
And look who's right down to the bottom. Yes, indeed. Davey Allison from the Alabama gang. Right there on the bottom of the racetrack. Still Michael Waltrip fourth. And in fifth, Dale Jarrett. And let's not forget in sixth that in-car camera of Bobby Labonte. Bobby Labonte, who fell back to 12th, has pulled himself back to 6th after that pit stop period and is looking good. 4-car, whoa, spin on Tommy Houston, the kid that started dead last in 36th position and had worked his way all the way to 8th. Racing to the flag, Earnhardt's there. Allison second, Gant third. Tommy Houston. They're still talking about last year when he started 28th, and we got a wreck up in turn number 3, one looping, and one car crashing to the bottom of the racetrack into the barrier just at the entrance of pit road. Jeff Gordon, the USAC midget champion, 19 years old. There you see, there's the one car coming around.
Elton Sawyer.
And Elton Sawyer in trouble. Here's Elton's car back underway.
I'm not so sure that there wasn't some kind of liquid in that corner. We had a car, the 31 car with Grissom was really smoking.
All right, we're under caution. It's the 5th caution of the day. We're working lap number 95. Earnhardt's in front, and we'll be back with more of the action from Richmond in a moment.
Right now, I'm up in the booth with my mentors for this thing. I'm up here with Coach Neil Bonnet and Ken Squire. And we've had a couple of incidents on the track. First of all, we had Tommy Houston. He started last, worked his way up to 8th. As Neil said, it's like he ran into something, a liquid or some type, on the track and spun. Then we had a second incident that involved Jeff Gordon and Elton Sawyer. And we're under caution right now for that reason. Guys?
Let's take a look at those incidents. First, what happened out here to Houston in the car number 6?
The car broke loose getting up off the corner right there, but I thought I saw a car go previously and put a little bit of liquid down, because right after this we had some more cars get loose in the same place. The car turned around too quick. He was down in the line where he needed to be. He wasn't in the wrong place on the racetrack, so something caused the problem.
You know, Staver, he should get the record for most times around out here today. Triple spin on car number 6.
Well, like Neil says, it's like something slick. He was on the correct line, running where he needed to be. Here's the other incident we see right here, coming around on the bottom. It's like in turn 4. It's going to involve Jeff Gordon, the youngest driver. There's Jeff right there, swapping ends, hitting the end of pit wall. And then Elton Sawyer's going to come into this somewhere along the line. There he is up at the top of your screen, coming in backwards.
Boy, thank goodness, Kenny, that they put those barricades up there. That's barrels full filled with sand, or he'd have had a pretty good shot right in the end of that pit wall.
Let's go to Mike Joy at the Fram Pit Communication Center.
Neil, they call it the Fitch safety barrier, and it was designed by John Fitch, famous sports car racer and also an inventor. Jeff Burton was the pole sitter for this event, and now he's sitting on our hot seat and sit out there where he'd like to be. Tough break out here, but tell me, were you folks planning to go the distance on tires? Tires the big question here today.
Yeah, we were going to go the distance on tires. Goodyear did a real good job designing the radial tire. I had no problem with going the whole way. We had only lost about 0.4 of a second on speed from the time we pitted, so we were ready to go the whole way.
A lot of folks could have blamed anything else for that spin. Takes a big guy to climb out of the car and say, I goofed.
Well, if you lie to yourself and you start believing it. So, you know, I was in the groove. I was trying hard. It just got away from me, unfortunately. It was a real good race car. The Armor Food Line Chevrolet was really running good. Had a Chevy motor in it, which surprises a lot of people. It was really stout.
Okay, Jeff Burton had a good run here at the start. He'll have some more. Let's go back upstairs.
So the end of the wall does not collect the cars, and those barrels designed to protect them do their job. International Raceway, there's the car of Kenny Wallace down on the inside of Earnhardt. We've now completed 3 laps under green after this last caution period, and Wallace is back in the lead lap. The leader is Earnhardt in the 3. Davey Allison runs second. Michael Waltrip made a good move as the green came out, one underneath Gant, pulled up into the 3rd position. And now we see the leader, number 3, coming in to make a green flag stop for fuel and tires. Let's go to Phil Parsons as Michael Waltrip also.
Here comes the leader, Dale Earnhardt. Tony, you're in the crew, going to go right side, just as he told us earlier. I think Dale actually wanted to pit the lap before, but when Kenny Wallace got on the inside of him, he couldn't get in. Dale's got a scuff mark on the left front where it looks like he got into Harry Gant, but the crew, he's away now with 2 tires and fuel. He can go the rest of the way.
12 and 6/10 seconds on that stop, and he is gone. Elton Sawyer away. We've got a spin and a crash down in turn number 2. Again, it's Sawyer in the 27 for the second time around. The 17 of Darrell Waltrip gets lucky. He gets in here. There's no caution on the racetrack as yet. Waltrip is in. Also on pit road, we have seen the Jarrett car. 28, Davey Allison is your leader. Davey running up in first. Jimmy Hensley is in second, and Bobby Labonte showed third.
We also had Gant come down pit road here. Now, I think that was a gamble right there on Gant. He saw the car spinning 1 and 2. You almost get a freebie for a pit if the caution would have came out, but they never did throw the caution. The car got cranked and pulled off. We got Gant and Earnhardt pitting it on the green. This is the first one of these we've seen all year.
14 and 2/10 seconds on Gant, and slow coming up through the gears, and he was slow on the restart as if he had trouble in low gear, Neil, and that was where Michael Waltrip nailed him. I mean, he didn't hit him, but he knocked him down a spot, and he also brought Dale Jarrett by him at the same time.
He did lose a lot of time, Kent, because Earnhardt pitted the lap before. Earnhardt's almost a straightaway ahead of him, so he lost a lot of time.
So the leader in the race continues to be number 28, Davey Allison, but he stops under green. Here you see the 7 coming back to speed, and there's the car number 28 as your leader. Jimmy Hensley running the 2nd spot. Bobby Labonte in 3rd. Tom Peck now 4th. Chuck Bound into 5th. Recall that he has made his pit stop. And Joe Nemechek, that outstanding freshman from a year ago, no sophomore jinx on him. He's showing 5th position. Putting a lap on Jeff Gordon, the Arkansas kid who won 16 midget races last year for the United States Auto Club and won the championship. And remember, that kid in number 1 is only 19 years of age. You're going to hear a lot about him. He won 4 sprint car races. He's a comer.
The boy's doing a great job. He's had been in these cars very long and really performing. We've got some action in the pits. The car running hot, the only thing hot in Richmond, Virginia. But Davey right now has got control of this thing. The question is, the guys that pitted Gant, Earnhardt, with the new tires, can they run Davey down with him sitting there leading a race like this?
Jimmy Hensley up into 2nd position. Davey Allison, how do you win one of these 200-lap sprint events?
National race is just staying out of trouble all day. You see a lot of accidents here. It's the first time the Grand National guys have raced on a short track with the radial tires, and that could create some problems. So I'd say the biggest thing you're going to have to do is pick the right times to pass and to stay out of trouble.
Here you see Davey Allison staying right on it now, Neil.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you know, the strategy is going to shift around here. Davey decided to stay out, and he's staying out of trouble, and he's not abusing the car. When you're leading like that, you take a lot easier on that car. But the guys that pitted are starting to close in on him. But if the caution comes out now, he's got him right where he wants. He's got him a lap down. They're going to have to get around Davey right here before the caution comes out. That car he's running the perfect line. The car's responding, doing the thing he wants to do. And when it's doing that, you're not burning the tires off the thing.
So here's the situation. We're better than halfway. 114 laps have been completed this afternoon. Allison staying up in front. Hensley, the early leader, Earnhardt and Allison. Those are the three guys whose names have been up, and now we see Chuck Bound pitting for a second time. That doesn't look good for the defending Grand National champion. Meanwhile, Davey stays in front. Jimmy Hensley has some making up to do. Question Davey's car. There's the Chuck Bound car on pit road, and Phil Parsons is there.
Yeah, this is the defending Busch Grand National champion Chuck Bound into the right side tires. Seems to have a little bit of trouble with the right front there, but he's done. Having a lot more trouble on the right rear now. Chuck's getting anxious. There he goes. He's away.
22 and 5/10 seconds, unofficial time on Chuck Bound's day on pit road. As he comes out, Davey Allison has this race pretty much his own way for the moment.
I noticed Chuck Bound coming out. Not only to get tires, looked like he had a little smoke coming out of that car, so he might have other problems also.
Tom Peck is fourth. Nemechek fifth. Tommy Houston, even after that spin, is shown in sixth. He's hanging in there.
The car is running really good. He's able to overcome some adversity and bring the car back up in the lead. But here he comes coming in, just as we say that.
Tommy Houston on pit road. Looks like an in and out. He's pitted. He's all the way through and back out again. Been in and been out. Quick stop, back underway. Tommy Houston, who had been running at 6, coming back to speed. Tommy Ellis, former Grand National champion, is now on pit road.
That car's been running hot all day long. They've been putting water in it. And this looks like it might be it for him. He's coming really, really slow from behind the wall, I think. Yep, that's the day.
End of the day for Tommy Ellis. But the pit strategy I like so far is Jimmy Hensley in that 25 car, making that early stop just for fuel, counting on the fact there'd be more cautions early in the race, so now he can catch back up. Davey Allison, don't know if he'll be able to go the distance. Interesting point about Hensley's car, he's one of 8 unsponsored cars in the race. The car looks a little too clean and no money coming in. If this series is such a great draw for fans and for the folks watching, it's really surprising that many cars are out here without some kind of sponsor logo, Tim.
Here's Gant trying to get back in. Gant and Earnhardt are down a lap, so they're trying to get back in it.
And here's the battle. It's 30 and 32. Whipping it down in there is Michael Waldrop, and right with him comes the 32 car. We've got one going away in the back straightaway. Big cloud of smoke down on the inside. And the car number 59, that's Robert Presley, will call it a day. White smoke pouring out of the headers. Black flag is out, but no caution on the track. And everybody, now the yellow is on.
I think the caution for it more than anything was visibility. They couldn't see anything on the racetrack.
See a thing up in the turn. Not thing.
Now here's the leader's trying to get back to the line. He's got to hold these other guys that are lapped down. Davey manages to beat them back. That's just what Harry Gant and Dale Earnhardt didn't need. They pitted, they were lapped down, and the caution comes out, and now it's going to hold them there.
They're stuck. So 121 laps are complete. Presley's engine brings out the 6th caution of the day here in our live coverage of the Richmond 200.
Caution right now from a lost engine that virtually closed the racetrack up visibility-wise. Ken Stabler, Ken Squire, myself, Neil Bonnet, we're fixing to go back green right now.
And as we get ready to go back under green, guess who the leader is? It's Jimmy Hensley's car number 25 with all these pit stops. And he's sandwiched back there behind the Earnhardt number 3 on the tail end of the lead lap. There's the brake. Hensley gets a little rub on the outside. Gant's trying to get his lap back in car number 7. Then comes Michael Waldrop. We came back to that. We had 7 cars in the lead lap. And this is where it gets confusing with that new pit procedure.
What we're seeing right now, we're seeing Earnhardt again on the tail end of the lead lap.
Whoa, that is 17, and the 90 whams the wall.
And
Tom Peck.
Davey Allison in the middle of it.
Ooh, bad one for Davey. Resendez is in there. You see the 19 car, Cecil Eunice. Tires just didn't have that much in them as far as heat. And that's the result. The 96 Peck thunders into the wall hard on the outside, comes back into traffic, and there you see the collection.
And here goes the Gant and Earnhardt getting their lap back right now. Boy, here they come off the fourth turn. See if we can pick up what happened. Looks like these two cars just touched right there. Coming up off corner, guy got up in the under. Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip turns around. Car goes the outside wall. Then visibility's a problem. They start stacking them up. Nowhere to go. A couple of hard licks right there in the middle of the racetrack.
Tom Peck was in the blue car on the inside, and he socks the wall hard. Tearing up car number 96. The rest of the machinery's moved away. Look at it again, just as you get into number 4.
Just barely tapped Darrell enough to get him turned around, then turned the 96 dead out in the outside wall. Straight shot in, comes back off right into the path. Everybody's already stacking up, and brakes don't do any good at this time. Davey took a little shot in the side. Didn't look like it damaged the car that much. Ken, one of the things that's going to be tough, if you look right there on the racetrack, there's junk laying everywhere, and all these cars are having to run over. Okay, now, no pitting on the caution. Flat tires a big question.
I'm surprised they didn't bring the cars down pit road, as we've seen some other times. When you have that much junk on the track, you know you're gambling on tires, and you could cut up and chew up all those tires. Now, here's Peck climbing out of car number 96. Peck was running in 5th position at the time he crashed. He was the highest finishing Busch Grand National regular just a week ago at Daytona, and had to take a provisional start at 34th position. Tom Peck clambering out of car number 34. Guy knows a little bit about short track racing. Kenny, we'll talk with you in just a minute about this. Right now we're going to take this commercial break and then back to Richmond once again. Live at Richmond International Raceway, the working lap 129 under caution after the most serious incident of the day from which everyone walked away. Tom Peck's car, the most seriously torn up front and back, and they're taking 2 wreckers to get car number 96 collected and out of the 4th turn area. Look again at what happened out here, and this event triggered.
Kenny, you called a lot of plays. Which was this one right here?
Yeah, that's the bump and run type play as we talked about, Neil. But you see, he just gets into the back of Darrell and gets him spinning around. He collects the wall, and then in the back, everybody just starts grabbing for grass, so to speak. Hang on, try to get through that without any trouble. Some do, some don't. A real break for Gant and Dale Earnhardt.
Seems like somebody's misfortunes. The other guy's falls in his lap, and it's happened this time. The car that's sitting in the middle of the racetrack is ready for the junkyard right now.
Another replay here. Another interpretation of what happened up in turn 4.
Let's see if we can pick it on a long shot here. They're already turned around. You can see everybody diving to the inside, but you run out of racetrack. You can't stack them at 6 across there, and now they're heading to the grass, and guys got in the grass, made it through there okay. That's when you need Toro for a sponsor. Or Mud and Snow Tires one.
Here's Mike Joy at the Fram Fit Communications Center.
And I'm with Tommy Ellis, former Busch Grand National champion. You just saw the replay. Your reaction to this? That track looks like it gets very, very narrow when things happen.
Really does. That corner down there is awfully narrow, and it really pinches the car tight. So you got to be able to give and take down there. It's a real give and take corner, and if you're not willing to do that, you're going to have problems there all the time.
Strategy for this race: would you have stopped early, or would you have waited and ended up in the back when that fracas?
Well, I did stop early.
Yeah,
so,
not by choice.
We had already pitted. We did right what we wanted to do. I think the Polaroid fan camera Buick was running really good. I thought Jimmy Hensley and myself had the best 2 cars there. I was taking care of my tires and came right to the front, and we were setting the pace we wanted to set. And when we pitted, Jimmy pitted, and I pitted at the same time for fuel. And we were right back up front. And as you know, Jimmy's in front now. When all the leaders pit, he's going to be there. He's running awful good. His car's working good. And the Polaroid fan camera Buick was working really good. But we had a heating problem when Jimmy and I started back through the pack. We were as good as he was, and if not a little better. And the car was working super. But it just pulled a heat, and we finally had to pit.
Okay, Tommy Ellis out of the race. Jimmy Hensley, though, may have a winning strategy. We'll find out when we come back to Richmond International Raceway after this.
We're back with 135 laps complete here at Richmond. Cleanup work has been completed in turn number 4, getting set on a restart after a 5-car pileup that wiped out Tom Peck's hopes of winning in the second Grand National race in this $4 million 1991 Stock Car Series. Here at Richmond International Raceway, Jimmy Hensley is currently your leader, number 25. After these pit stops and caution periods, Joe Nemechek finds himself in second. Chicago, Illinois, Bobby Dotter is in third. Kenny Wallace is in fourth, and Bobby Labonte winds up the top 5. That was with 135 complete. They've just knocked down another lap, 136. No change among those top 5. Going further back, in the 6th position then would be Davey Allison as we look out here over this 3/4-mile track. Dale Earnhardt is 7th. Harry Gant is in 8th. Michael Waltrip in 9th, and in 10th is Dale Jarrett. Those cars are all in the lead lap. 1 lap down in 11th is Morgan Shepherd with a 12th spot. Davey Johnson, 13th, Todd Bodine. Chilly day. Nothing says it better than those pictures here. Little frostbite. Turn 4. Trying to work these tires a little as they come to the line. Some of the cars switching back and forth, get a little heat in there. 1 lap to green. And that lead car, there you see him. Hensley and the Don Beverly, the drag racer's car. He's shortened to come off the line like a drag racer. Thus far, Neil Bonnet.
Drag racing up the straightaway. He was in the lead earlier. He had plenty of motor in that car. No drag racers were noted for that.
So, pace cars about to bring them in. Lap cars, slower cars on the outside. The leader down on the point. Jimmy Hensley, Nemechek right behind him. Then comes Dotter in third. Squaring off for another scramble here at Richmond. Always a dandy race, and Jimmy Hensley right now has it his way. Issue is, can he stay there, and what's going to happen when car number 28, Davey Allison, Dale Earnhardt in the 3-car, Harry Gant in the 7 start to roll from 6th, 7th, and 8th respectively. Here come the leaders. Here's the break. 138 complete of 200 laps, and they're 3 wide into the corner, and that's Nemechek in the 87 getting the jump. The white car going out in front for the first time today. That's the 4th different leader that we've had in this battle. Nemechek at number 87 leads here in Richmond. Further back in the group, fight for positions, and it's a scramble for Earnhardt, Gant, and Allison. Running right in the kind of racing they like. Heavy traffic. Dammin' and flammin' out there. Here you see Earnhardt in that 3-car. Right behind 44, Bobby Labonte. Remember that Bobby Labonte is your 6th place car, the number 44. Earnhardt tries to shoulder beneath him here. Moves along on the inside in turn 4. Makes that move.
Look who's following along there, Ken. Harry Gant is going to be right back in the picture with Earnhardt. These 2 guys have 2 new right side tires on fresher than most cars.
You see Waltrip's number 17 being shown a lap down, and 15th spot also coming up in there. But aren't you impressed with Gant today and how smoothly he's handling this thing thus far?
Well, I tell you, not just today. Harry's always been like that. The guy's really taking care of his cars. On the day that it'll win, he gets it there. The day it doesn't, he usually carries the car along and gets a good finish. So he seems to be in good enough shape to make a run at him today.
5th place is Earnhardt in the 3. The 6th position is the number 7 Gant. They wheel under car number 2, Ricky Craven out of Concord, New Hampshire in the back straightaway. And here they are closing up on 87 Nemechek. He's fallen back after briefly leading into the clutches of the rest of the field. And Nemechek in 4th now falls to 5th. There's the leader. That's car number 25, Hensley. And look at Kenny Wallace ready to square off and run with him. Taking a look through the entire field. Favorite car a little further back. Look at this struggle up in front. Here's Kenny Wallace. That Rusty Wallace team, right down to the bottom. That car becomes the 5th different leader of the day. Chuck Bound in that group. Bound running a lap down. He is shown 14th on the field. And number 63, the red and white Nescafe car, is a lap down to the leaders. We now have 12 cars recorded in the lead lap. And leading the fracas is number 36, young Kenny Wallace out of Missouri. Hensley having to settle in 2nd.
Kenny won the Busch Grand National Rookie of the Year in '89, and he's really matured and coming along and really asserting the car now.
How about this? For 3rd spot, there's Davey Allison on the outside, Earnhardt on the inside, and Gant right there.
Have we seen these 3 cars do this before today?
Replay. Deja vu
Yeah, just thinking about Kenny Wallace. His crew chief is Steve Bird, who took Rob Morosi to the Busch Grand National Championship. He went with Steve Grissom last year, and he won for the first time in his career. He won 4 races last year. He went with Kenny Wallace. Kenny almost won Martinsville. He ran out of gas with 2 laps to go, which allowed Steve Grissom to win. And here he is leading the race again. Steve Bird must know what he's doing about these Busch Grand National cars.
That is the truth. Bird is absolutely the master of Grand National mechanics. Here comes number 7 down to the inside. Gant looking good. Up in front, Wallace there. Hensley, now look at this battle further back. And here comes Michael Waltrip into the picture.
Again, earlier on today, the Gant car and the Earnhardt car put on tires. Davey pitted on the caution and got gas only. The other cars are on better rubber, and it's showing up right now.
Back straightaway, number 3, challenged by number 7. Earnhardt challenged by Gant. Battle for 3rd. Turn 3. Into 4. Gant, bottom side. Got it.
Temporarily. Permanently. There we go.
There's no such thing as permanent until the checkered flag comes out and they write it up in the newspaper.
These are the 2 guys a while ago that rubbed all the writing off the side of each other's cars. They got by a little bit cleaner that time. Sponsors don't like you erasing their names off the side of these cars.
But the drivers don't mind at all.
Oh, it's fun. I tell you, these guys race hard, they run close, and what the fans want to see. Since I'm a fan, I want to see it. I don't mind it, brother.
How'd you feel when you were out there?
I kind of like to rub it a little bit myself.
Here you see Waltrip in the 17. Remember, he's a lap down, but he's trying to take a spot back from car number 28. Clambering along, bottom of the racetrack. With him comes his younger brother, Michael. Younger brother, Michael, 6'4", and they all call him Mikey. Can't believe it. Biggest drivers out there. One of the nicest, too. Michael Waltrip is in 6th position. Correction, yes, 6th position, and running in the lead lap. And there you see Davey Allison in that car number 28. That fight's been going on back and forth between those 2, and for the moment, Michael Waltrip has the better of it. He's just in front of Davey. That would be 5th position on Davey, 6th position on Allison. And the Darrell Waltrip car, again, is a lap down in 14th.
Again, you know, the guys who put tires on earlier were the Winston Cup guys. They have their crews here, and they're got a little bit quicker service sometimes. They took advantage of that, and the 2 guys sitting on fresh tires are working their way back to the front. Here comes Davey down pit road.
Davey Allison pitting at lap 152. Davey Allison on lap 152 on pit road.
For tires. They'll put tires on it.
Take a lap here.
It didn't take long to see, for Davey to see the fact that Gant and Earnhardt were so much stronger on the fresh tires. Going down a lap right now. He just went down as they went by. He's going to have to hustle to get on out there and get evening contention to get it back.
19 and 4/10 seconds up on the clock. Here comes Harry Gant with number 7 down to the inside of Hensley as they go into turn 3. And here comes Earnhardt. Scrambled for 2nd spot. Gant is there. Earnhardt coming with him. Previous winner of this event. Looking to close on Kenny Wallace.
Ken, we guessed all day long, what is the strategy? How do you run this race with a new pit procedure? After it's all shaken out, it looks like the thing to do is run a long time, come in here late, get you 2 fresh tires, because the guys that have that are certainly dominant right now. Kenny's going to have his work cut out to hold these 2 guys off.
Kenny Wallace's best finish in this event was 5th just a year ago.
Sure is nice to sit here in the booth and watch this all day. Said, boy, you should have just put tires on now. It's easy to second guess these things now.
Top 3 all together. 157 of 200 laps complete.
What you try to do in a situation like this, Ken, is Kenny Wallace is on older tires, no doubt, but you got to try to make those guys use theirs up. They got fresher rubber, but don't let them buy easy. Make them heat the stuff up.
Here's Gant for the lead. Harry Gant goes into 1st.
Again, we're just notified that Kenny Wallace did put tires on lap 77. That's one reason he probably could come around the Hensley car as well as he did. So these 3 guys are pretty equal right now, except for this we're looking at right now.
Gant becomes the 6th different driver to lead. Here comes Earnhardt.
Earnhardt making the move on Kenny on the inside. Now it's going to shake out the 7 car and the 3 car. Who can do what? And still got quite a bit of racing left.
Showing 10 cars now with the lead lap. Gant is there, and he builds an 8-car length advantage over Earnhardt now in 2nd. Wallace in 3rd. Hensley is 4th. Michael Waltrip 5th. Dale Jarrett is 6th. Bobby Labonte 7th. Nemechek back to 8th. Bobby Donner 9th. Morgan Shepherd in the lead lap in 10th spot.
Boy, Gant seems to have it going his way right now. He made an impressive move on Dale, and he's putting a little distance on him right now. Dale's car is sliding out a little bit right up in the middle of the corner, maybe a little bit of push in his car. Harry is really stuck right in the bottom. That's why the reason he's able to get away just a little bit. And as I say, that Gant runs high.
Yeah, Gant likes the outside. He likes to hug the wall just all the way around. Just rev that little thing right up there and just leave it.
I think one thing he really likes is that fresh air when you leave the race. It's better than breathing all the fumes off those guys in front of you.
There's the 10th place car. That's Morgan Shepherd in the car number 97. He is staying on the tail end of the lead lap. Guy that won at Atlanta last race in Lucent Cup a year ago. On pit road, Jamie Obey comes in. Battle developing up in front again. 3 and the 36 go at it on the outside. Here comes Earnhardt. He's making a run for 2nd spot. Kenny Wallace trying to hold him off.
Ken, we're talking about tires all day long. Let's jump down in the pit with Phil Parsons and see what he can tell us about the tire situation.
We're down here with the 2 right side tires. Harry Gant took off on his pit stop. He ran about 110 laps. Goodyear measured the tires. They're showing from 2 3/4 to 3 1/2 30 seconds. They come with about 5 new. He ran over half the race. They weren't quite half wore out. No problem here, guys.
Well, that's the good news.
Well, the good news is there was rubber left on them, but the problem when you get down to that last 30 seconds, it doesn't work as good as that top part of the rubber did. So they're going to have to worry about having good tires on it. Here's the battle for 2nd place. They've been running side by side lap after lap. And I just about bet you Mr. Gant's checking out while they're doing this.
Yeah, Mr. Gant is checking out. Thank you. I'll take another 2-car length every lap. Meanwhile, guess what? Closing up. Michael Waltrip 4th. Here's the 08 in trouble. Coming down pit road, Bobby Donner maybe he's staying out there. Look at this fight continue. All the way around. Still at it.
That's got to be fun for Kenny Wallace. He's right there door to door with Earnhardt. Earnhardt really dishes it out to him. Here's caution coming out right now.
Yellow is on the track. Caution down. I wonder if Bobby Donner was spilling something out of the 08 car. It is now on pit road, raced back down into the first turn. Kenny Wallace just in front of Earnhardt as they came across, and there you see the 7. Harry Gant, your leader. This caution at lap 166.
Ken will bring you up to date on the tire war, and it isn't much of a battle today. Of the 7 drivers that started on Hoosiers, only 2, Troy Beebe and Cecil Eunice, are still running. Butch Miller ran in the top 15 the first half of the race, but his car now behind the wall. Dave Resendiz involved in a wreck about to go back onto the track on Hoosiers. None of those accidents were tire-related, however. So this round of the Grand National Series tire war appears as if it will go to Goodyear.
Day to put on your high-heel galoshes and go strutting out here if you like Harry Gant, Kenny Wallace, Dale Earnhardt on those top 3 positions. And now that they tighten them all up, Morgan Shepherd's car on the tail end of that lead lap could become a factor as we have 167 the 200 laps complete.
Morgan is working with that Ford, and they're trying to get that engine development going and get it working good. And he's staying right there with them.
Only a couple of Fords in this race in the 36-car starting field. So, 167, working lap 168 at the present time. Harry Gant's race to win for the 2nd time. Will he do it? Stay with us. You'll see it live here from World Sports.
Now back at the Richmond 200, having a wonderful time. The show is exactly what it's been billed to be. It's very, very exciting. Wheel-to-wheel, fender-to-fender NASCAR racing. Great battle going on between Harry Gant, Earnhardt, and Rusty Wallace. And then the thing, his brother Kenny Wallace doing extremely well. Having a great time. Back to you guys.
Okay, Ken Stabler, and down in turn number 1, the field is organizing. Light comes off on the pace car. I think they're ready to kick this one off again. As we see car number 7, Gant in first. In second is Wallace. Third is Dale Earnhardt. There are those leaders up in front. 1 through 5, Michael Waltrip, Dale Jarrett maintaining 5th. Going 6 is Hensley. 7th, Bobby Labonte. 8th, Nemechek. And then in 9th is Morgan Shepherd. Those are 9 cars in the lead lap. Harry Gant up in front as they come down to the line. Second man out there is Kenny Wallace. In the 3rd spot is Dale Earnhardt. In 4th is Michael Waltrip, and in 5th, Dale Jarrett as they come to the stripe. Let's go to Harry Gant's pit.
I'm here with Chris Carrier, Harry Gant's crew chief. Chris, you seem to have a bit of a problem with the car. What is it?
Yeah, so far everything's been working good, but right before that caution, the water temperature went up quite a bit. He rode around a couple laps on the caution and started coming back down. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. We've got 30 laps to go here. We might be on the edge of burning a piston or something like that. It's just hard to tell. It just went up real quick right before the caution. I hope it hangs in there because Skull Bandit, Handy Pantry, Shields Electronics Buick's done a good job. Jim Ruggin's motor's been strong all day long, and I hope it hangs in there.
Thank you, Chris.
Do you think they rehearsed those lines at night to get all those sponsors in, Neil?
Well, it's getting to be a mouthful, I'll tell you that for all of them. But I was looking at Harry's car as he came by the front straightaway here. The track was so cold this morning, the temperatures are cold outside, it looked like they got the bottom area of the grill taped up. They might be wishing that thing was undone right now.
Here comes Gant, and his lead is diminished. They're catching up with him a little. The lap car of Chuck Bound moving back in. Remember, Bound is in 10th position, 1 lap down, that number 63 car. There's the leader, Gant in the number 7. Then there is a couple of lap cars. That's Bound in the 63, just behind Gant. Here you see pictures from car number 70, the Penrose car, in 7th position. That's Bobby Labonte, car 44. Going to the main straightaway and diving down into turn 1. And for the moment, Gant begins to build a lead again. He pulls away. For a while, they were reeling him in. Now it's the other way around as the accordion stretches out, and car number 7, Gant, comes to the line, having picked up a couple of car lengths.
Again, maybe when he told him it was running hot, he just meant it was fixing to leave the rest of these guys.
There you're doing it. There you see that 36 and 3 behind the 2 lap cars. Here's Wallace and Earnhardt. That is 2nd and 3rd, right behind Darrell Waltrip in the number 17. Darrell is 11th on the field. He's running right behind the 10th place man, Chuck Bound. The 10th place car is the 63. The 11th place is the 17. They are a lap down. Here's your 2nd and 3rd place battle just beneath them. 36 Wallace and 3 Earnhardt.
To get around Darrell because he was holding up just enough that Earnhardt was pecking away on the back of that race car, so he had to get him some running room.
22 laps remain, 22 to go. And as this battle continues and that lap car of Bound stays between leader Gant and the 2nd place war, here it comes again.
That's Earnhardt making a move on the inside of Wallace right now, going down in 3. Real tight by this wall. You can see the wall real close right there. Kenny gave him room to get up off of there. The trick's going to be, can you work the car on the bottom right there? Real wide entry to get that point. This is where Davey Allison was having trouble. See Earnhardt spin the wheels up off the corner. It's hard to grip that car down the bottom. Looks like he's in a superior place, but just bust the tire loose up off that corner.
You pinch it, you roll smoke off the rear wheels.
You do something like that, Ken, he burned those tires. He literally hurt them a little bit. He'll have to wait a lap or 2, get up there close, try to cool them down, then you can smoke them one more time. But you can't do it repeatedly, lap after lap. You got to have to work your way, tiptoe back up there and make a run on it.
Now you see the yellow car on the bottom? That is Michael Waltrip. He's running in 4th, but the 28, Davey Allison, behind him is now a lap down. There's Davey on the outside, and he is being shown in 12th. Remember, you have Bound in 10th. The 17 car is in 11th. And then then you have the 28 car of Davey Allison in 12th. They're running a lap down, having their own little war. Here's the 25 car, Jimmy Hensley. He's being challenged by Bobby Labonte in 44. Hensley is running the 6th position. Bobby Labonte comes to the bottom of the track. Finds himself some room there. Plenty of room. And with him comes Morgan Shepherd. Shepherd is there in the 97, just behind these two. Now look at this. Look at this for second place, Neil.
Boy, they've been going at it for a couple of laps. And they're working. Or they're playing. That's what it is.
The Rusty Wallace car being driven by Kenny Wallace, not being intimidated one itty-bitty bit by the Intimidator.
See if you can get up right here. Right here's where you got to do it. The car wiggles a little bit. If you can't get that foot all the way on the floor right there, you're in trouble.
Impressive run for Kenny Wallace. What do you think of that one, Ken Stabler?
Yeah, it's a great racing. You watch this type of racing, and that's what you're going to get from NASCAR. You always seem to see number 3 up there banging fenders with people. There's Davey Allison, very outspoken during the course of the week about wanting to run very, very close to Earnhardt.
Of course, you've got a car running what was the All-Pro Series that's now part of NASCAR, and this is what you guys do 22 times a year.
Yeah, it's been increased to 22 races from 13, and it's a small track, the bull ring, so to speak, around the country in the South, out to Missouri, goes to Phoenix, and an awful lot of fun to be around this sport. I enjoy it so much. It correlates so much to football with the team working, that sort of thing, and it's very enjoyable, Ken.
Maybe we get a chance to talk to you a little bit more about that as this progresses. We're down to 15 laps to go, 2 and 7/10 seconds between Gann in front of this second-place battle. There you see Wallace, and he is shining this afternoon. He and Earnhardt have had themselves a war, and both of them coming out with medals. What a great run these two are making. Here's your leader, Gann in the number 7, performing just so well in this car. Looks like he could be on his way to a second win in the Richmond 200.
Yeah, you know, at Daytona, he never got the car running just like you wanted to, which is unusual. Harry's usually strong with that particular car on the big tracks, but they certainly make it up for it right here. Here's the log jam back here for second place.
And look at that log jam further back. 28 and 17 working each other over. That is the battle going on for 11th spot. Give it to Davey Allison for the moment. Over the car of Waltrip. Darrell Waltrip in the 17. Michael Waltrip in the 30 stays in 4th, and it's heavy traffic everywhere in that group.
I'm going to see if I can borrow that on the way out after a while. Kind of nippy out there.
Oh, it's a cold day, but folks are used to it in Richmond, and we have a great crowd out. See the 28 and the 17 still side by side? That's 11th place. Doesn't get any better than that. All the way to the field, you see this kind of racing. And for the moment, let's focus on Davey Allison, Dadley, Darrell Waltrip in the 17.
As Davey Allison and Darrell Waltrip are battling for position. Harry Gann, I just talked to his crew chief, Chris Carrier. He said that Harry has not said anything about the water temperature on the radio. He says, but the stopwatch says it's doing okay.
Yeah, I would say it is doing okay. He's leading the way. There's 10 laps to go as they cross the line right now. And it's going to have to run hot in a hurry to keep Harry slowed down.
Earnhardt and Wallace having a little feud back here for second spot. For a moment, it looked like Earnhardt had Wallace covered, pulled almost completely in front of him.
Yeah, but now they swap positions. They don't take the outside lane. And let's see if Kenny can get up off the corner on the inside. Earnhardt's car's a little loose. Right here, it's not going to be as critical. When they get over in the second turn, if Kenny can make that jump off the corner, he's going to have him. The outside has been the place to be up off to him.
Second place at stake.
Right here's where we'll see.
Earnhardt has that advantage, Neil. It just lights up a little better. You get a little firmer bite on the outside out of 2. That seems to be the critical place on the track.
When you got those 2 cylinders missing off those engines, you can't bog them down. The little 6 cylinders need to wind up.
About 450 horsepower out of those 6 cylinders.
Yeah, I almost laughed when they told me we was going 6-cylinder racing years ago. And I got into thinking they were so impressive, and all these drivers will tell you, they actually jumped and respond quicker than a V8. They've done a heck of a job with these motors.
You really light them up. A track like this, they respond so well and give you such a great show. Change of position further back. Dale Jarrett has just wheeled around Michael Waltrip as we watch this struggle for second spot, which is so good. Now you see the 30. Now 30's back around again. Here's Michael and Dale Jarrett. That fight goes back and forth between 30 and 32.
5th position right there. 4th and 5th.
Back to 4th comes car number 30. They swap it back about every other lap. Michael Waltrip in car number 30. New sponsorship this year for his Grand National effort, for his Winston Cup effort. They put a lap on Jamie Obey, one of the provisional starters, three-time Grand National North winner. Here are these pair, this pair, 30 and 30. Now back up in that second place war. Wallace to the inside, Earnhardt on the outside. Wallace taking a little higher line, trying to keep those RPMs up in 2. And he'll take a shot down here in 3. See if he can just crowd underneath. Davey Allison being shown in 11th, 1 lap down. 195 complete and 5 to go.
You're seeing Earnhardt now give him that inside lane. He's letting him have the inside. He's going to keep that outside for himself.
There's your relationship from first back to second place. Good idea of where they're positioned around the track.
Davey going to get in the picture now.
And his old friend Waltrip in the 17. That's the fight for 11th spot. Waltrip is 12th.
You know, Ken, somebody might say, well, why is Davey sticking his nose up there in the second place battle? He's racing Waltrip. If he just stays off of those two, he could get past for his position. He's been forced into the deal where he's got to go on. And forced they are. They're packing him in there pretty tight right now.
And take a look just behind them. Here they come. 32 and 30 again. Once again, Dale Jarrett's there. He's pulled up the spot. To 4th. Michael Waltrip back to 5th. 198. Getting down to the end of this one. White flag. And here's your battle for second place. Very excited fans here at Richmond Live as Kenny Wallace steams down to the bottom of the racetrack. Tries to hold Earnhardt on the outside. White flag is out. This is the battle for second. Gant. No contest. No contest. Gant is going home. Second place is the issue. The question is second spot as they come out of turn number 2. Here comes Harry Gant down to win it in car number 7. He has done a walkaway, but the battle right to the line. His car's 3 and 36, and it is Dale Earnhardt by a whisper over Kenny Wallace at the stripe. Great finish for second place. Dale Jarrett will finish in 4th. Michael Waltrip in 5th spot. So your winner is Harry Gant in car number 7. For the second time in his career, he's won the Richmond 200. You'll meet him in just a moment in Victory Lane. Can pretty much rest assured you'll get when you come to Richmond for Grand National, for Winston Cup, modifieds, whatever it is. This track really makes for competition. And when this one was over, Harry Gant was the man in Victory Lane, car number 7, 51 years old, grandfather. He sure drove like a kid out there today as he busted through this field. Let's go to Phil Parsons with the champion.
Harry, you told us before the race that the car was running good. You thought you could do it. Tell us about it.
Well, we practiced. We come up here and set the car up, and we practiced. We didn't change anything, and even though we wasn't as quick as some cars in practice, we just left it because it was good. And when the race started, the Sco-Banded Buick, it just hooked up super. I didn't really try to race anybody because the car was just so strong, and it would go. I just tried to save the tires and take it easy. And when it come time to run after the halfway, we ran. Well, then all of a sudden, 30-some laps ago, it's running hot on the peg. And I tried to ease up, and I tried to take the lead so I could not run as hard. And that helped it a little bit, but the last lap, I didn't think it was going to make it. But it was only half throttle the last 5 or 10 laps. I figured I'd burn a piston.
It looked like it was smoking on the cool-off lap.
Yeah, it was smoking pretty good. It was stinking in the car real bad. But the car just handled super, and it had a lot of power. And I just played today. Had a good time with Davey and Michael and Earnhardt and everybody. And but I knew I could go when it come time to go. I could smoke them.
Well, you know, Harry's a crafty old veteran, Neil. You've raced with him a long time. He can get it done as good as anybody on the racetrack.
Seems like anytime Harry, just like he said, he wanted to go, he had it under him. He showed it in a hurry right at the end of the race. But looks like the front of that car's taped up real good. That might have been part of it.
Yeah, it was taped up with just a small hole out there that car could breathe through. By 2 seconds, 2.02 seconds, Harry Gant was victorious and won his 14th race of his Grand National career. That's his 14th win. That would tie him with Earnhardt, of all people, with 14 wins. Just in front of them with 15 is Morgan Shepherd, and both Dale Earnhardt and Harry Gant have intention of doing a lot more Grand National racing this year.
Yeah, you know, Ken, there's a possibility there. You know, Harry is the oldest winner in Winston Cup racing, and he might very well be the oldest winner in Busch Series now.
I understand what means most to Harry Gant is finishing in front of Michael Waltrip so he doesn't get razzed about being too old to be out there. And, boy, this is a day for him. He's going to go looking for Michael Waltrip to ask the kid where he finished.
And more than likely, he'll hobble more than ever.
Let's go to Mike Joy.
I'm with a fellow who probably knows more than anybody on this pit road about setting these cars up and making them run. Steve Bird, who is now the crew chief for Kenny Wallace. And you folks almost nipped him today, and what a great battle he and Dale Earnhardt had in the closing laps.
Yeah, we're a little tight today, too tight, but we kind of played it cautious. Dale and Kenny are real good friends, and they just had a ball. And, hey, I think we're in a point lead now, and that's our main concern.
What is it you've learned about these cars that nobody else seems to quite have the handle on, that you can come up and just put somebody either right up in front in qualifying, but more importantly, make them run at the front all day?
Well, I don't know. I've been with some awful good teams, you know, with Rob and then Steve Grissom, his super driver, and Kenny. They're all great drivers, and they just need a little help to get things organized, and with my help and what they know, it's coming together real good.
I remember when he started in New England, Ken, for Peter Fiandaca on the short tracks, the garage was dirt. It opened to the sky, and the motor room was a big oak tree in the backyard. And the Winston Cup Series has suitcase Jake Elder. Maybe this series has backpack Birdie, because wherever he goes, guys run up front. They did a great job today.
Thank you.
I don't think he wanted you to tell that story at all, Michael, about those early days up in Connecticut. There's no question the True Value Master Mechanic Award is Steve Bird. That True Value Master Mechanic, there's not much question the way that he puts cars together.
No, and he might not stay in the Busch Grand National Series. You might see him over Winston Cup before long.
Let's meet the man who came in second today.
Here with Dale Earnhardt. Dale, it was a good race. Harry said in victory lane that he had an awful lot of fun with you and Davey and Michael racing. Was it pretty much fun for you, too?
Well, it was. It was a good race. Me and Kenny Wallace got to race in there, and Harry got away from us. I think I might have could run with Harry a little bit, but I don't know whether I had enough to pass him. But my car was a little loose. If it had been a little tighter, I maybe could have done something with Harry, but he was too strong there after me and Kenny got to racing. It was just, you know, we was just doing what we could do to beat each other. It was a good race between Kenny and I. We had a good time.
I tell you, Kenny looked awfully impressive out there, didn't he, Dale?
Well, he did. He was real smooth, and, you know, he gave me plenty of room to race, and I tried to give him plenty of room. It was a good race between us.
Thank you, Dale.
Dale, this is Neil Bonnet. Tell Dale there, Teresa's going to be on him if he don't win these races.
He walked away. He's going to talk to Michael Waltrip about how he liked racing, too.
All right, we'll be back with more from Richmond International Raceway and chat with Ken Stabler in just a moment. It's all Harry Gant. Checkered flag day for the veteran from North Carolina. And back at Richmond International Raceway with the completion of the Richmond 200. Harry Gant victorious today. Up here topside with Neil Bonnet and Ken Stabler. I'm Ken Squire. Let's talk about who we liked out here today in this race. Ken Stabler, anybody really stand out as far as you were concerned, besides Harry Gant, the winner in that great battle for second spot?
You expect to see Gant and Earnhardt and those guys up there, but you get Kenny Wallace. He stayed out of trouble and ran very consistent and finishes up high. Joe Nemechek, we see him on the All-Pro Series that we race. Very consistent driver. I guess Rookie of the Year in this series last year, only his second year. He runs ninth, and I was impressed with him. Always have been.
How about you, Neil?
Well, I'm just glad, you know, I like to see a race in, a guy win the race, and everybody else say I enjoyed it, and not be upset with what goes on. You know, the guys get out of the car, they walk around, they joke about having a good time. When you see Davey Allison and Darrell Waltrip racing for 11th place like they're racing for the win, they're having a good time out there, and it's good for the fans to see the racing all the way back through the field.
The pit procedure came in, and I thought this was a replay of what we saw at Daytona 1 year ago. Almost the same kind of situation today, gentlemen. First part of the race was interesting and exciting. Second part was confusing. Dynamite finish.
I think we're still playing with it. I think that crews are still playing with what they need to do to be in the right place at the right time at the end of one of these races. I think today was a good gauge for these guys. They need to run a long ways, put some fresh tires on midway, and have some rubber left on that car at the end of the race. I think as they go along, you'll see them fine-tune the pit road procedure, and you're also going to see the crews fine-tune their strategy, what it's going to take to win these races.
Neil, Phil Parsons is standing by with another outstanding young new talent in NASCAR, and let's go down right now and meet Kenny Wallace.
Kenny, we heard from the teacher a little while ago. He said he talked to you this week, and he said that he just told you to calm down and kind of helped you a little bit. It must have worked.
Well, you know, first of all, Phil, you as a race car driver, you know how important the team is. I want to give most of the credit to Steve Bird, my new crew chief, and all my guys. It's all on how good the team is. But
Dale Earnhardt's been pitted next to me all week, and I'm kind of a hyper person, always have been, and when I come to race on a Thursday or Friday, I'm ready to race now. It's hard for me to sit around 2 days, and I pace the pits, and Dale's been telling me to calm down, but, you know, don't be so nervous. So we're getting with about 20 to go there, and I'm leading it, and I look behind. I said, man, I'm not going to let him intimidate me. And Harry's car was just strong, and he got by me, and me and Dale just had a good race. My car was working halfway decent, and Dale was a little loose. I was a little pushing, and we were fighting for position. So
is that fair for him to tell you to calm down, and then you have to race him the last 25 laps of the race?
He messed up because I'm going to race him good now. No, it was fun. It was just a lot of fun.
Terrific run, Kenny.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Phil, did Dale say anything to him after that race?
I don't know if he did or not, Ken. We were interviewing Harry Gant in Victory Lane. When we got down here, they'd already separated. I'm sure he had a little talk with him.
I bet he did, too. I wonder if he had a word for Kenny.
He probably said, don't get so close to me, is what he probably said.
There were 8 cautions for 37 laps in this one, which is not a record, but what a great day for young Kenny Wallace as he battles Dale Earnhardt wheel to wheel for the last 30 laps of competition. That's got to be a kick to run with the Intimidator.
Well, there's a lot of things happen. It builds his confidence up. He learns to run the car inside, outside. Earnhardt's not going to give him any extra room, and so he went to school today. He graduated, and now he's going to be teaching Dale a few things.
There's what you need to do, huh? Go out and work with a real instructor, not Bonnet, but I mean...
Get in there with this Alabama guy?
Yeah,
I think that'd be a little dangerous.
What do you mean a real one, not Bonnet?
That'd be fun.
Well, he's been talking about him as the coach all day out here, and meanwhile, his old hunting partner is putting it on this field and pretty strong man. You guys been hunting yet this year?
We went this past winter.
Yeah, what happened?
The only thing I beat him at in a long time.
We'll be back with more from Richmond International Raceway with the great Neil Bonnet and Ken Stabler, great in his own right. All here to enjoy this great NASCAR racing. Stay with us.
At Richmond International Raceway, where you have a look at the finish in this great 200-lap event. I'm at the Fram Pit Center along with Tom Peck, who drives a car same color as that bright blue jacket. Had the misfortune to be in one of the bigger incidents of the day. Saw they took you for the mandatory ride to the Care Center. Most importantly, you're okay.
Yeah, I took a pretty good lick, but I didn't hit anything that hard. I held on as tight as I could, and I didn't bounce around much, and I just basically went for a ride, but to keep everybody happy.
Well, I don't know if it made too many people happy, especially the guys behind you and Darrell Waltrip. But we'll take a look at it here on the monitor. I'd like you to tell us in your own words just what happened. We can only be observers from our point of view, and it looks like one car went up or one car came down. Tell us how you saw it as this unfolds.
It just looked like Darrell and I rubbed right there a little bit, and he spun the whole way around, and it put me on out that into the outside wall a pretty good lick.
Looked like you tried to correct there and get the car going right, but I guess once it starts that way, it's going to have a mind of its own.
Well, once the car turns right, these cars are made to turn left, and once they turn right, they won't turn back. So then about the only thing you can do is just hold on and hope you don't get hit real hard.
And you knew they had to be coming behind you.
Well, we were running second at the time, so I knew they were coming.
There's the initial contact. Did it look or did it feel like you went up a little, or maybe Darrell had come down?
It don't look like either of us went much direction. I think it was just tight racing.
It was tight and close racing until one car went around, and the blue car, that of Tom Peck, the 96, went up to the wall, and you see everybody spinning or looking for evasive action behind. Tommy Houston found a good low route to get through there, and there's Chuck Bound right in the middle of it, the red, white striped car, just barely trying to sneak through, and when it was over, 7 cars were embroiled in it. They're out of turn number 4. You had a great season last year, and I know you're looking forward to better results than today.
Oh, yeah. You know, we ran last week at Daytona, we run 6th, and we qualified 6th, and we were real pleased with that, but it doesn't help coming here and destroying a race car. But we've been fortunate. It's the first race car we've destroyed in 3 years, so, you know, we can't complain, and these licks come, and we'll be back next week at Rockingham.
Okay, an enviable record at next week. There's always next week. Next week is Rockingham, North Carolina. Then the series moves to Martinsville, Virginia, and on to Florida, and throughout its run of the Busch Grand National Series. Tom Peck, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Fram Pit Communications Center. Let's take a look at the complete standings on this race number 2 of 31 that makes up the $4 million Busch Grand National Series for 1991. And again, next Saturday, off to Rockingham with all this great talent. And as we look at this field and down through it, get some thoughts from the experts that were watching topside and around the track today, Ken Stabler and Neil Bonnet. Joe Nemechek certainly had another outstanding run. He looked stronger and stronger. I thought Darrell Waltrip was indeed blessed today. He was in that incident, did that spin, got it righted, and didn't get hurt. He was able to still come back, and as you see on the board, get himself a good finish in 11th spot.
Boy, this thing's a big test bed right now for the V6 programs. And to see these things, we had very little engine failures in these things. You know, Earnhardt, Davey and the guys are doing some experimental stuff. They've got people building those motors, and they're getting them where they're better and better and better. And we're seeing the lap times. We saw this entire field within a half a second from the guy that made the set on the pole that had to go home. So the engine programs are really going. I think the gap that the Winston Cup guys had, even though we had 5 Winston Cup guys in the top 6, that equipment is there for those guys to use. And I think the Busch Grand National guys are really closing that gap.
As they move back to the championship car for its final inspection, let's go back to pit road. Here's Phil Parsons.
In my years in racing, I haven't never seen this. A couple years ago, the gasmen on the team started wearing helmets with fireproof socks on because of the fact that Richard Petty's car caught on fire at Atlanta. This is something I've never seen before. I'm going to let Darrell Waltrip's gas man, Tom McCrinnan, tell us about it.
Yeah, this helmet here, this is a fresh air system helmet, which has it has a fan motor inside and draws fresh air into you around your, it blows air in around your mouth and up the front of the shield here. It keeps the shield from fogging up. Now, it used to be a gas man puts a helmet on, you put this skirt around your neck, you have no air at all to breathe. And if it was, you know, it was unbearably hot. So this is a real good system. You can wear it just about all day, you know, if you can keep the batteries charged up. But you can put it on, you know, 5-10 laps before you pit. Turn the motor on. It blows cool air. You breathe in cool air, keeps the shield clean, and it's a real good system. Real good system.
Okay, gentlemen, that's racing in the 21st century.
Stabler, you're going to use that against the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, I know how important helmets can be, and I'm sure that one's very, very important to that gentleman.
All right, we're going to take a brief break and then be back once again here at Richmond International Raceway, where the celebration continues for the great Harry Gant, who's done it again, won his 14th Grand National race in Grand style. 30,000 folks begin to leave Richmond International Raceway topside with Neil Bonnet and Ken Stabler. I'm Ken Squire. We're about to take a look, gentlemen, at some of the major incidents that happened today in this race, of which there were 8 caution periods, which is not unusual on this track, Neil.
No, the track is real tight in particular areas. You have to get right here. The car pinch down low, back end comes around. This is when I think they had something on the surface. Had a couple of cars spin.
Tommy Houston.
Got away from Tommy. Right here really avoided some trouble. Cranked the wheel back left just at the right timer. Just fixing to stick it up in the outside fence.
And he ended up with the 13th finishing position here today after he had started dead last and worked his way into the top 10. Tommy Houston, car number 6, great racer. Now, the Jeff Burton story here today, a little later on, got himself in trouble in car number 99. The pole sitter crashed in the wall, tore his car up. He had set up in front, was not a record. Nose gone on that one, and he had to retire. He had run with the top of the field through the first portion of the race, the first third of the race, before this happened to him.
Here's the big wreck coming off the 4th turn.
There,
I'm sorry, this is where the Gordon slid down into the barricade there, and the sand barrier really saved some damage to Gordon when if he'd hit that inside wall.
And Gordon was able to come back and finish in 17th position, several laps down in that Ford, one of only 2 Fords that entered today's race, which brings up the question, what do you think is going to happen to the Fords out here, Neil?
They're putting out a sincere effort right now to try to get the motor program along. The Chevrolet and Buick development started with Indy cars years ago, and they had a little bit head start. Now Ford's really doing some work, and they're trying to close that gap. But I'll tell you, it's hard to, while Ford's closing the gap, Chevrolet and Buick are really accelerating their program. So they got some work ahead of them.
And now NASCAR has this Bill France Award for the manufacturers in this $4 million series, and it's going to put a lot more pressure on these car manufacturers. Up until now, this has been pretty much a freelance operation, but when you put up a manufacturer's award, you're going to see the factories putting more emphasis on this series, and to me, this is the 3rd most important series in the country now, for the money and for the kind of competition, the TV they're getting.
Ken, we've always heard win on Sunday, sell on Monday. I think they start winning on Saturday. They're going to sell them on Monday also. So the factories are jumping there, supplying the parts to these guys. It's critical for them to win these big races on Saturday also.
Overview from you, Ken Stabler, about what you've seen here today.
Well, I think anytime you have rule changes to any game, you have rule changes to football, it's going to affect your game plan, so to speak. And I think you have rule changes in this sport. And I think the teams are going through a learning process of seeing when to pit and tire wear and things like that. And I think there are a lot of teams that are experimenting right now with putting together the type of game plan that they need based on where they're racing.
And experimenting with new talent, which was part of the fun of going to a Grand National race. You get to see so many superstars, but you also get to see so many folks that are right on the edge of potential superstardom. And one of those is standing by right now with Mike Joy.
Ken, you're speaking of Ricky Craven. He's one of the stars of the Busch Grand National North Series. There is a second series in Grand National Racing, and this is one of the few combination events which award points to both the North and the South drivers. Craven was 14th today. Jamie Obey, the champ up there, was 20th. Barney McRae, 22nd, and Dale Shaw, 33rd. So you go home with a point lead and a real good day. Tell me about your race today.
Well, the race started out pretty good for Mike. We, with a new car and never having run on the radials, we had a lot to gain, really, and had very little experience with what we were working with. But it ended up okay. We're not really satisfied with where we finished, but we got 199 laps in for speedy oil change and tune-up, and I'm really excited about the year to come. Chevrolet's come on board with us, and our new Lumina, we got another one back home, and I'm just so excited about what they have to offer us.
And those of you watching today up north can watch for Ricky and the rest of the Busch Grand National North stars when they get to your area. Ken?
All right, let's take a look at the standings here. After two races in 1991, there you see Dale Earnhardt with 350, Harry Gant second with 335, then Michael Waltrip, and then Kenny Wallace. And those standings are bound to change as they move to so many of those short tracks where the 31 race campaign goes. Final word from Phil Parsons today.
I didn't think the pit road new rules were as confusing as I anticipated. The only thing I saw was that at the end of the race, when you had Dale Earnhardt, Kenny Wallace racing, you would have had Darrell Waltrip and Davey Allison in there racing for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, along with Michael Waltrip and Dale Jarrett. But other than that, I thought it was pretty smooth. It wasn't that hard to follow. But I'll tell you, by the way, Kenny Stabler, we found one of your relatives down here in the garage area. He wanted to say hello to you.
All right. The snake is back, and we're delighted to have you with us.
I really enjoyed it. This is a terrific sport, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
It sure is a terrific sport, and World Sports has been delighted to bring you this race from Richmond live. For Neil Bonnet and Ken Stabler, for Mike Joy at the Fram Pit Communications Center, Phil Parsons down on Pit Road, I'm Ken Squire. Want to go racing? Go NASCAR. You'll find tracks all over America that present great competition, just like we've seen today. So long from Richmond. The Richmond 200 has been brought to you by Channel Lock. For the tough jobs and the small jobs, reach for the Channel Lock, the handiest tool of them all. Look for this trademark. By Fram air filters, the end of the road for dirt. And by True Value. For quality selection and personal attention, make Center.